Ever heard of religions? Like, so old they've practically been forgotten. Not disproven or anything, just kind of overshadowed by the big names in history, you know?
Right, like those bands you hear about that influenced a whole genre, but most people have never actually listened to them.
Exactly. And just like with music, understanding those earlier influences can give you a whole new appreciation for the stuff you're into now. So today, we're diving deep into those faiths that time almost forgot. Think of it like a greatest hits album, but for beliefs.
And just like a greatest hits album, even the tracks you don't recognize can give you a new appreciation for the music you know by heart.
We've got a whole tier list lined up, ranking these forgotten faiths from the surprisingly plausible to the stuff that'll make you want to double check if your tinfoil hat is on tight.
We'll uncover why these faiths faded and what makes them worth another listen.
Okay, so have you ever noticed how history kind of seems to have this winner-takes-all mentality, even when it comes to religion?
Definitely.
The ones we hear about are just the tip of the iceberg. So we're kicking off our deep dive with the C-tier religions that are plausible but forgotten. And trust me, these aren't wacky theories. They're grounded in history and honestly offer a really fresh perspective on those big questions we all ask.
Exactly. They provide valuable context for the beliefs that dominate today and offer unique perspectives on universal questions about life and death.
Ready to kick things off with ancient Egyptian religion? It's not every day you get to hang out with pharaohs and pyramids, even if it's just mentally.
It's a great example of how a seemingly distant belief system still echoes themes we grapple with today. You know, life, death, the meaning of it all. The ancient Egyptians had a way of making even the afterlife relatable.
Right, like their whole society was geared toward preparing for the afterlife.
Wasn't just about luxury, though.
And the pyramids don't even get me started on the pyramids.
Their elaborate preparations reflect a belief in the soul's continued journey, a journey that required provisions, guidance, and, of course, a well-preserved body. Their concept of Ma'at has always fascinated me.
Ma'at, okay, remind me.
Ma'at represents truth, justice, and universal balance. The ancient Egyptians believed that by upholding Ma'at, both in their daily lives and through righteous leadership, they maintained harmony throughout the cosmos.
So it's not just an idea, it's like a cosmic rule book enforced by the pharaoh himself. It makes you wonder if our modern obsession with life hacks and productivity is our way of seeking that same cosmic order the Egyptians craved. Okay, that's probably me going a little too deep. But while we're here, can we at least acknowledge the theory that the pyramids might be something more than just tombs?
The sheer scale and precision of their construction continue to baffle even modern architects. And while their function as tombs is well documented, those astronomical alignments and supposed energy fields are hard to ignore.
Right. Okay, moving on, before I convince myself the pyramids are giant alien antennas or something. Next up is another C-tier heavyweight, Zoroastrianism. Buckle up, because this one's a wild ride through religious history, predating major monotheistic religions, but packing some strikingly familiar ideas. We're talking ancient Persia, a single god, Ahura Mazda. It's like the original greatest hit that inspired a whole generation of spin-offs.
It really is fascinating. While not as widely practiced today, Zoroastrianism had a major influence on Western thought and belief systems.
Wait, are you telling me that our ideas of heaven, hell, and even the final judgment might have roots in ancient Persia? That's blowing my mind.
The influence is undeniable. But what's really groundbreaking about Zoroastrianism is its emphasis on free will. Humans aren't just along for the ride, they have the power to choose between good and evil, and those choices have consequences.
Talk about a faith that puts you in the driver's seat. It makes you wonder how differently history might have unfolded if more belief systems had emphasized personal accountability like that. But for all its influence, Zoroastrianism isn't exactly a household name today. What happened?
It's a combination of factors. The rise of Islam and Persia played a role, but pockets of Zoroastrian communities still exist, keeping those ancient traditions alive.
It's amazing how these echoes of the past linger, you know? Speaking of echoes, let's move on to our B tier, where things get a little more mysterious, but still grounded in history. Think of it like exploring those half-solved historical puzzles that keep academics up at night, ready to uncover the secrets of Mithraism.
Mithraism is definitely one of those historical head-scratchers, popular with Roman soldiers especially, but shrouded in, like, total secrecy, no scriptures or anything, just whispers and glimpses. It's like trying to reconstruct a movie from a few scattered frames.
Intriguing, right? We've got secret rituals, underground temples. Don't forget that whole image of Mithras slaying a bull. Talk about symbolism. What's the scholarly take on that?
Oh, it's a powerful image, that's for sure. Points to themes of sacrifice, life and death cycles, that eternal struggle between light and dark. You know, the usual suspects. But without more to go on, interpretations kind of vary. Some scholars say it's about harnessing primal forces. Others see a connection to the constellations.
Okay, conspiracy theory time. How much do you think this influenced early Christianity? I mean, come on, the timelines overlap, the themes echo each other. It's almost like
Distant cousins with a shared family secret.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a debate that's been going on for centuries, really. The parallels are definitely there. Good versus evil, savior figures, even similarities in some of the rituals. But ultimately, Christianity centers on Jesus' teachings and resurrection, while Mithraism, it focuses on Mithras and this cosmic battle,
So influence, yes, but not a carbon copy. Which, honestly, I think makes it more interesting. It's like seeing how different cultures tackle those same big questions. But before we get too lost in Roman riddles, let's jump to another B-tier mystery, Manichaeism. For a while there, this thing was spreading faster than wildfire. From the Roman Empire all the way to China.
Oh, it burned bright for a time, that's for sure. Manichaeism offered this really unique blend of ideas, kind of incorporating elements of existing religions but giving them a new spin. It's like the ultimate example of everything old is new again.
Right, and their whole world is a battle between light and darkness thing. I mean, who hasn't felt that in their own life, right?
Yeah, it's a universal theme for sure. And Manichaeism presented a very literal interpretation of that struggle.
And then there's the founder, Manichae, claiming to be the final prophet, uniting teachings from Zoroaster, Buddha, and Jesus.
Oh.
Talk about ambitious. What do you think drew people to such a bold claim?
That's part of what makes Manichaeism so fascinating, honestly. It wasn't just a new religion, it was an attempt to create a universal faith. Imagine one belief system uniting the East and West.
I mean, it's a cool idea, but being ahead of your time isn't always a good thing, right? Was that ultimately its downfall?
It certainly faced opposition, that's for sure. Its dualistic worldview was seen as pretty heretical by both Christian and Zoroastrian authorities, and ultimately, that's what led to its decline.
Too radical for the times, huh? It's a shame, really. Though I have to admit, knowing human nature, if everyone did suddenly sign up for one belief system, we'd probably just find new things to disagree about.
Anyway, ready to get philosophical. We're entering the A tier. Less about historical empires now, more about those mind-bending ideas that have, captivated thinkers for centuries.
Lead the way things are about to get seriously metaphysical. Okay, so first up, Gnosticism. It kind of sounds like something you'd study in, like a dusty old philosophy class, but trust me, this isn't just for academics. We're talking about divine sparks trapped in this flawed material world, secret knowledge, and a dash of ancient Greek mystery. What's not to love?
At its core, it's about recognizing the divine within ourselves and seeking liberation from the limitations of the material world. It's like suddenly realizing the world is a much bigger, stranger place than you initially thought.
Okay, so it's like the Matrix, but instead of fighting sentient programs, we're seeking hidden knowledge to unlock our true potential. Sign me up. But seriously, was this divine spark thing just a Gnostic idea, or does it pop up elsewhere?
This concept, it resonates across so many cultures, honestly. It's this idea that there's more to us than meets the eye, something that connects us to, a higher power, a universal energy, however you want to think about it. Gnosticism just gave it a specific framework.
A framework that involved, let's be honest, secret texts, hidden meanings, a whole lot of symbolism, right?
Exactly. Gnosticism wasn't a single religion, see? It was a movement with all these various branches, each interpreting these core ideas in its own way. Think of it like spiritual jazz, improvisational, experimental, but united by a common set of themes.
And the goal was to, transcend this material world and return to the divine source.
Exactly. By attaining gnosis, this special knowledge, you could break free from the cycle of reincarnation and return to the source.
Now that is a serious power-up. Though I gotta say, the idea of reincarnation itself is pretty mind-blowing. Speaking of which, that kind of reminds me of our next stop, orphism. We're still in ancient Greece, but instead of focusing on, the Olympian gods and all their drama, we're going deep into the mysteries of the soul's immortality, mystery cults, secret rituals, and the possibility of, being reborn, maybe as a philosopher king this time if we're lucky.
Orphism offered a different perspective on life after death, for sure. It wasn't about reaching some final destination, but about this continuous journey of growth and transformation.
Yeah, no pearly gates here, just a cosmic merry-go-round of soul-searching. But I have to ask, how does the myth of Orpheus, the guy who went to the underworld to get his girl back, how does that fit into all this? It's always seemed more like a tragic love story than a, religious blueprint.
It's all about symbolism. Orpheus's journey, it represents the soul's journey through life, death, and rebirth. the underworld that represents the challenges we all face, the loss, the darkness. But it's also a place of transformation, of potential for renewal.
So each time we face hardship and come out the other side, it's our own personal hero's journey, just, without the lyre and the ability to charm the gods with our music. Speaking of things that make you go, we're about to enter some seriously mysterious territory, our S tier and beyond. Okay, deep divers, are you ready to go full Indiana Jones on this one? Because we are leaving behind those well-trodden paths of history and venturing into those uncharted territories where myth and speculation, well, they kind of collide.
This is where we separate the history buffs from the truly adventurous.
Exactly. And first up on our S-tier expedition, the enigmatic religion of Moo. Now, before you pull out your map and start, looking for plane tickets, Moo isn't exactly a place you could just visit on vacation.
Right, it's not exactly on Expedia.
We're talking about a hypothetical lost continent swallowed by the Pacific Ocean millennia ago. Think Atlantis, but with, even more question marks.
And yet, this idea of a lost civilization, right? One that was maybe even more advanced than our own, possessing wisdom and technology lost to time. It's a powerful image.
It really is. I mean, who hasn't wondered if there were civilizations before us that knew things we've totally forgotten? It's like this collective memory we all seem to have. So tell us, what did these hypothetical Movians believe? What were they all about?
Imagine a society that was deeply connected to nature, worshiping the sun as the source of all life. They believed in a spiritual hierarchy, priests and priestesses, channeling divine knowledge, guiding their people toward harmony.
It's like a blend of ancient wisdom and those utopian dreams we still have today.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, right? What if they were onto something?
But yeah.
Some secret to living in balance that we just haven't rediscovered yet.
Perhaps. Or maybe it's our own longing for a more harmonious past that draws us to these stories. Either way, I think the religion of Moo, it reminds us of the power of imagination and that enduring allure of the unknown.
Could have said it better myself. And speaking of alluring unknowns, let's talk about the OG underwater city that launched 1,000 myths and legends. Atlantis. Do we even have any idea what their religion might have looked like, or is it all just educated guesses at this point?
When it comes to Atlantis, we're definitely in what-if territory. Plato's account is really all we have to go on, and even he presents it as more of a cautionary tale than a historical record.
It's still a pretty epic cautionary tale, though.
Sure.
Let's say, hypothetically, Atlantis did exist. A technologically and spiritually advanced civilization, masters of knowledge we can only dream of. What might their religion have even looked like?
Imagine a society that's unlocked the secrets of energy manipulation, telepathy, maybe even communication with other dimensions, right? Their religion, it wouldn't be religion as we know it. It would be a fusion of science and spirituality, something beyond anything we can even really comprehend.
Okay, now that is a deep dive I wouldn't mind taking, though maybe without the whole city sinking into the ocean part. I prefer my ancient wisdom without the risk of drowning, But before we get too caught up in hypothetical underwater temples, we have to address the elephant, or maybe the eldritch horror in the room.
Oh boy, here we go.
The religion of the elder gods.
Be careful, we're venturing into full-on Lovecraftian territory now. This isn't your typical Sunday service. This is where cosmic horror meets ancient, unknowable beings that could basically shatter your sanity with a glance.
You're not exactly making it sound like a welcoming faith. But for our listeners who are brave enough or crazy enough to keep listening, give us the breakdown. Who are these elder gods, and why would, anyone choose to worship them?
Imagine beings of just unimaginable power, right? Dwelling out there beyond our understanding of space and time. These are the elder gods, entities so vast and powerful. Their very existence warps reality around them.
Okay, yeah, you're definitely not selling me on this whole elder gods thing. But I have to ask, what does their worship actually entail? What are you doing if you're worshiping an elder god?
In the stories, they're usually worshipped by, these secret cults drawn to their power, their forbidden knowledge, or maybe just the sheer terror they inspire. It's not about comfort or guidance. It's about acknowledging humanity's utter insignificance in the face of, this vast cosmic abyss.
So, less Amazing Grace, more cosmic horror movie soundtrack.
Yeah,
I think I'll stick to my meditation app, thanks. But for our final stop on this wild ride, let's cleanse our palates with something a little more utopian. What if, hidden from all the world's chaos, there existed a paradise of perfect beings just living in harmony, radiating wisdom and peace?
You're describing the Hyperboreans. They're this mythical race said to inhabit a hidden land beyond the North Wind, a plum of perpetual sunlight and, unimaginable beauty.
It's like Shangri-La, but with way better PR. So the religion, what's the deal there? Do they have temples, rituals, a cosmic rule book, any of that?
Their religion, it was probably less about, dogma and rituals and more of just a natural extension of their very being, just this pure expression of their harmony with the universe.
So less about believing in something and more about just existing in a state of like total enlightenment. I can see the appeal, but part of me wonders if it wouldn't get a little boring after a while, No challenges, no growth, just endless bliss.
Perhaps. Or maybe it's just, a glimpse into a potential future for humanity, a state of being we can aspire to, even if we never actually, reach it in this lifetime.
That's a beautiful thought to end on. And with that, dear listeners, our deep dive into forgotten religions comes to an end. We've journeyed from the plausible to the mind-boggling, from the awe-inspiring to the downright terrifying. Hopefully, we've at least piqued your curiosity, sparked a few what-ifs, and maybe even inspired you to do some exploring of your own. Because sometimes it's in those forgotten corners of history and belief that we find the most fascinating reflections of ourselves.
Absolutely. Don't be afraid to, ask the big questions, even if those answers remain elusive.
Well said. Until next time, happy exploring.